Dear students, here we again in this session we will continue with the meaning of urban development and also the objectives of urban development. Urban development is the process of developing design and urban areas. Encompassed in that process is the use of open land, air, water and built environment including buildings, transportation, economic and social functions. Typically used as a part of a larger city plan, an urban plan should tie back to an organization's mission and vision statements. Urban planners direct the development of cities and towns. A well developed, effective urban plan requires through research and input from numerous stakeholders, including citizens, landowners, and government staff. Urban planners should think about their plans from the perspective of all who will be impacted by their efforts. And since implementing the plan uses taxpayer dollars, the plan should be as practical and cost effective as possible. For a local government perspective, urban planning touches on numerous city life elements, new and pre-existing land buildings, road, communal space, transportation, economic development, infrastructure and the environment among others. We have broadly categorized these aspects into different conceptual areas below. These areas are commonly referred to as type of urban planning, but it's important to understand that they are not mutually exclusive. For an urban plan to be cohesive, it should include many or all of the below areas. The urban centers in India are experiencing rapid growth of population, particularly in the post-independence era. The primary reason for population growth is industrial progress. The industrial progress has resulted in the increase of population density in the urban areas, and integration of this population is creating pressure on urban land. Due to industrialization, new factories, offices or service centers come up, which in turn leads to housing complexes, market areas, recreational centers and so on, resulting in congestion and overcrowding. Whatever the measures adopted, there is a dearth of space in the urban areas. Therefore, many cities are expanding beyond their statutory limit. That is, for every urban area, growth has spelled beyond the city boundary. This situation is expected to bring many undesirable changes in the land use pattern within the city as well as its surrounding areas. But not enough is known about the magnitude of these land use changes, the relationship of these changes to population growth. The rapid growth of population and the process of urbanization have resulted in an increasing demand for land in urban settlements. The prime factors of this increase in demand are also the population growth and the related requirements of urban life, such as the development of transportation and communication and further infrastructure facilities. The pattern of city growth and its spatial structure is determined by various historical, economic, social, and ecological forces that influence urban land use. The improper use of land poses serious problems in all countries simply because the supply of surplus land is limited and subjected to competing claims. Dissatisfaction with the emerging urban forms is almost universal. Therefore, proper planning of urban land use is the most essential for an orderly and efficient growth of urban areas. Students, planning has to be done in such a way that the utmost available land is utilized. For that, three E's are very important, that is, establishment, engineering, and execution, which makes the urban development and planning successful. Objectives of urban development are as follows: creating a sense of social coherence on a neighborhood basic through cooperative civic action and promoting sense of national integration, developing a sense of belonging to the urban community through increased participation of people in community affairs, and creating a way of thinking which concentrates first on solving problems with their own initiative, organization, self-help and mutual aid, bringing about a change in attitudes by creating civic consciousness and by motivating people to improve their conditions of life, particularly those affecting social and physical environment, Developing local initiative and identifying the training of local leaders and ensuring fuller utilization of technical and welfare services by helping the community to locate what help can be had from the municipality and other organizations and how to get it, and what assistance and guidance can be obtained from governmental and higher authorities and how to approach them. In simple terms, the objective of urban community development is to promote the growth of community life and to promote the growth of community life and to encourage the development of citizens participation in programs of self-help and civic improvement. Apart from the above, these are the important objectives which may be at most priority in the development process. Removal of slums, providing people with proper housing facilities or accommodation along with the basic infrastructure like electricity and water facility. Organization and improvement in the means of transport and communication. Setting apart space for industries, parks and public places including burial sites. Making arrangements for recreation both for children and for older people. Arranging for sanitation and cleanliness of the town and its adjoining areas. Allocating space for marketing centers, shops and so on. Arranging for education, health and medical services. However, sometimes these arises a mismatch between the demand and supply of land. This mismatch between the supply and demand of land leads to the degradation of environmentally fragile land, occupation of hazard-prone areas, and loss of cultural resources, open space, and prime agricultural land. Within the existing built-up areas of cities, uncontrolled growth of population and inadequate infrastructure may cause irreversible losses of cultural resources and open space. Poorly managed development may also cause excessive urban sprawl and negative impact on air quality, energy consumption, and aesthetic quality. The conversion of prime agricultural land to urban use may increase the costs for locating, storing, and purchasing food. In India, the expansion of urban population has resulted into a rapid rise in the demand for housing, land for industry and commerce and public buildings and infrastructure. Broadly speaking, the density in city and towns in India have increased during the last 2 decades, though in some instances this increase has been concealed by the extensions of their areas. For example, the density per square mile in Mumbai was 25,579 per square kilometer. As a result, many competing claims for urban land and the consequent rise in land prices can be noticed. Increase in population also affects the supply of basic infrastructure facilities. For instance, in 1951, almost 80% of the 185 towns of 20,000 and cities of 50,000 or more population in India had public electricity supply. The proportion of the supply of electricity has now declined very fast, with the population having about 20,000 for towns and 50,000 for cities. The water supply facilities are available in these cities only to the population that resides in the area laid out down. During the extended areas that have come up due to increase in population in these towns and cities still lack their basic facilities. The percentage distribution of households by floor space per person and population size group of towns can be explained as follows. The proportion of households with a floor space up to 100 square feet per person was 47% in towns below percent. All India urban population in 46%. Take for instance Mumbai and Kolkata, two of the big four cities. According to the surveys of these cities, the proportion of the households with a floor space up to 100 square feet per person was 93% in Mumbai, while 63% in multi-member households in Kolkata. In other cities too, the surveys have revealed much more overcrowding. Urban environment of today are characterized by areas that contain many acres of hard surfaces like buildings, streets, natural vegetation such as forests and fields. Slow rainwater or other running water down, allowing it to soak into the surface. In contrast, cities' roofs, parking lots, and manicured lawns all provide hard, impervious surfaces that prohibit rain from soaking into the ground. Since the excess rainwater or running water cannot soak into the ground, it accumulates and rushes into storm sewer and waterways. The water that travel into storm sewers does not get treated at the local wastewater treatment plant. But urban dwellers do not know this fact, therefore, they dump or dispose pollutants in the storm drains. Thus, storm drains carry large amount of pollution away from urbanized areas mixed with the excess storm water. Street litter, pet and yard waste, motor oil, antifreeze, household hazards, waste and paint are just a few of the pollutants that find their way into storm drains. This water travels from storm drains into local streams, ponds and lakes and ultimately into local streams and rivers. The greatest threat to loss in soil resources in urban areas is during construction activities. Later, if good storm water management was not designed into the development, flooding and stream bank coercion become a problem. While with the development site cleared of all vegetation, the area is now prone to soil losses in excess of 70 tons per acre. Sites started and then abandoned also create soil erosion problems. Each home site not protected from erosion can lose one or two dump truckloads of soil. Off-site damages can be enormous: clogged drainage ways, slit-laden streams, reservoirs filled with sediment, damage to the adjacent landowners, all with environmental and financial costs. As more homes, shopping centers and roads are built, more water runs off the land and faster. Areas once safe from flooding are now prone to flooding. Gently flowing backyard streams now become a cancer, undercutting soil from homes. Urbanization also causes pressure on the land as the secondary effects. For example, the quarrying of sand and mineral aggregates for the construction of urban dwellings represent about 20% of the total land lost to urbanization. Urbanization also causes pressure on the land as the secondary effect. For example, the quarrying of sand mineral aggregate for the construction of urban dwellings represent about 20% of the total land and lost to urbanization. While urban development is a necessity as global population grow, there are many criticisms of the system. Critics of these external influences argue that inhabitants of the city should have more influence in the renovation and development of their neighborhoods. Because urban planning is focused on future development, many argue that the field ignores current problems.